but he ended up doing all right. Adriel, on the other hand, we know him just be super stone cold.
Those top 6 players making it to World Finals. He is currently 5th on that leaderboard with 40 points. So every single win at this point for both of those, Arden Toas behind him. Adriel currently with 100 points, Arden Toas just 10 points behind him with 90. So if neither of these players win...
But once again, consistency is also key in CRL. Those points, anything that you can get to try and get to World Finals, like that's what it's all about. $1,000 prize pool.
Well, let's take a look as we jump into our opening matchup, joining it just a moment behind. And yeah, okay, you know what, Jackson? I said the same thing. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, for a second, since we joined late, I thought he played Minion Horde Bridge first play, but looks like what we missed is a minor wall breakers push left the lane. He defended with Minion Horde, and then Arden then defending that with the Mighty Miner. This is interesting. Minion Horde is something we haven't seen in Clash Royale League in a very long time, maybe ever. But as we know, minions did get a buff, a range buff recently, and they're honestly really strong, despite the fact that Furnace is really ramped meta. So that goes to show like how strong they are even more. But Adriel decided to go for double minions here, which I feel like could be like an insane like play. It could end up getting a little wild with some minions on the tower here and there, but at the same time, it is a card that if Arden plays perfectly, he should be able to control with the Mighty Miner, with the Tesla. The Evo is important, but also the Evo wall breakers should do a good job for controlling the minions in the minion horde here.
First 90 seconds away, and Arden now with the Evo wall breakers behind, mortar high to hold, Tesla to prevent any sort of mortar lock will do its job fine. And Adriel, let's see if he sets up in the back here and uses this elixir advantage to create something. And he will. He'll send some minions in the back, kind of the best option that he has. They should still maybe interact with that Tesla. Miner goes and picks up the Tesla aggro, and now Poison to clear the defensive minions. And he's not going to get one on tower, but you see Arden had to get that Mighty Miner out, maybe in a less than ideal situation.
Yeah, definitely. Minions dropping up high, gonna force the Mighty Miner ability. Miner poison left hand lane. Deciding to switch lanes here. I don't know if I agree with that. A lot of times you do want to go same lane as Siege decks. Siege meaning Mortar or Expo, because here comes the Mortar, and a lot of the time you do want to poison the tower plus Mortar.
Boy.
And he's low in elixir. Wait, Evil Mortar might just lock. Okay, he does get the Mighty Miner down in time.
And for a second, that's what I was talking to. That's why I said, oh boy there, Jackson. Was it looked for a second like the Miner might walk close enough. And this is a couple of times now where this deck out of Adriel has forced Arden to make funky plays, right? The Mighty Miner now used a couple of times for kind of funky pickups, especially that just stopping that one swipe from a minion. But look at the results of this still. Adriel up by about 300 and change, a little under 300 HP. Miner now will go ahead and start lowering the gap. But it's still this kind of harassment that Adriel is able to create is significant.
Yeah, so really interesting macro here. See, as Arden just realizes that he needs to go same lane, starts attacking the right, but then Adriel, the Furnace on the left, getting one down and cycling to the Evo Furnace as well. And since Arden does not have the Cannoneer, he has the Princess Tower, he's really struggling to defend. And now Adriel with the Mortar Evo. So we have Evo Furnace, another Furnace, a Mortar Evo on the board, and Adriel, you can see him, that's the most emotion you'll see from Adriel. A little bit of a eyebrow raise, a little bit confused on how in the world Arden was able to defend here, but he's still up damage. Miner poison inbound, and we're heading into triplet overtime here, Rich. And one wall breaker connects. This is going to be a fairly even match here.
859 to 1159, so just a few hundred HP separating these two. Miner goes to the inside, wall breaker picks up, and the Miner does retarget to the tower. That is a huge retarget that happens. Down to under 500 HP on the right-hand lane is Arden with the poison. Poison now working opposite direction, 30 seconds left. You see Arden giving the sigh there, or Adriel, Arden giving the sigh, knowing that he finally got overwhelmed. and maybe sitting there going, hey, what the heck was I supposed to do? And that, again, it comes back to...
So I think that it really comes down to Arden. I mean, you can always try to counter to the counter, you know, and there's a lot of mind games that go into it. But once again, I think if Arden just brings out a deck that's solid and fairly unpredictable, he should be able to be in a pretty solid situation.
And now looking back at it, the minion horde was played twice overall in that game by Adriel. But still doesn't matter. Got the win either way, and here goes a man after your heart, Electro Giant. a little beat down here for Arden Toas in game 2.
Lightning gonna drop, but the cannon pulling that over. The Spear Empress is gonna stay alive. You can see once again, Arden just like wearing his emotions on his shoulder here, and yeah, Spear Empress is gonna get a hit. This is definitely not the start he wanted. That 1 HP cannon really throwing a wrench in his plans, but you know, there's still a lot of game to be played, and he knows that. He's going to drop the cage, get the Evos in cycle, and do his very best.
First minute away, Adriel just opts to get his cannon cycled, put everything in the right order that he wants for this next step, puts the Empress in the back corner.
Yeah, and then once again, you got to talk about the Adriel's just team for deck picking. Really solid stuff here. Cannon plus Drill for E-Giant plus Evo Snowball for E-Giant. And then the Evo Cannon also one of the best counters, the Evo Archers. Arden does have the Spear Empress. I do like the Spear Empress plus E-Giant synergy. Spear Empress does a great job of just kind of hovering over the river and trying to snipe at those buildings to get the E-Giant to the tower. But you can see how Adriel is just controlling that really nicely. One note though, once again, the cannon Evo out of cycle now. Maybe there's a chance that Arden makes something happen to Evo Archers here.
Well, let's take a look. In the double elixir, Adriel cycles his knight to the left-hand side, goes for the Empress to work on the middle. Fireball should get it all together.
Wow.
And what an absolute, you know, I have to think there, Juicy, as I see the results of that was an absolute troll job from Adriel. That he was just going, hey, I'm going to look like I'm cheesy just trying to snipe your cage, but really I'm hovering a fireball ready for you to put those Evo Archers down.
Yeah. Yeah. The counter push is here. Tornado is out. Should be able to take out the Spear Empress pretty quickly. But the E-Giant is not making it to the tower, and the Knight's going to do a great job of tanking. So now it's Adriel's time to attack once again.
Now you mentioned, you talk about the different Evos being out, Evo Archers out of cycle. That was a good opportunity. Either way, you know, both players taking swings, Juicy, but so far no one able to find any sort of real opportunity for a breakthrough.
Yeah, that Gold Knight was definitely going to give him a chance here, but the Spear Empress just hits so hard. It really is like a mini P.E.K.K.A in the air. Even though the reflection's coming through, it still has so much HP as well. So E-Giant really struggling to make it to the tower here.
Into sudden death overtime, and Arden unhappy with something there.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. I really don't think the emotions are going to help you here. I think you have to stay locked in, and you have to play to the best of your ability, no matter how difficult the matchup or how unlucky the situation is.
Oh,
but yeah, just Goblins connecting here. The Bar Barrel just too early. He's shaking his head. He's angry. This is not what you want to see.
Well, I'm guessing, I believe Arden streams while he's competing too, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong there. So, you know, it's also one of those things where you're also trying to be entertainment at the same time. I might be wrong with whether he's streaming or not, but I think he does. That's one of those things too. I mean, you know better than anybody that it's maybe at least a little bit more challenging playing when you're trying to be entertaining as opposed to just being locked in.
Sure. Yeah, 35 seconds on the clock. Cannon's on the board. E-Giant, he does get a decent lightning, but there it is. The Tornado nerf once again. Just it's not doing really any damage here to the Spear Empress. So lightning not able to take it out, and another Spear Empress on the board once again. I feel bad. I mean, I feel bad. Like, as a fellow E-Giant enjoyer, I don't think there's any way Arden's winning this game. He knows it. He drops the lightning on the king, and it's over here, Rich.
And a 2-0 for Adriel. and you put together a solid gameplay with a great selection of cards and decks, and you come out with a clean sweep to open things up. And again, you see the difference where, so this bracket is a whole lot of fun, folks. How much do you feel like your time spent as a content creator still helps you maintain your level for high level or potentially competitive play?
Honestly, I think it's more helpful than like I probably initially thought or like realized. Even if you're just, even if it's not ladder, like even if you're just on the game for 4 or 5 hours a day, like I am, I think that definitely does just keep the cogs moving in your brain of like understanding how the game works, understanding cycles. And I mean, we've talked about a lot how the game has evolved over the years. No pun intended here with evolutions, but it used to be that like just keeping track of your opponent's win condition and their counter to your win condition was most important. But now it's just evolved to the point where you have to keep track of win conditions, 2 evolutions, the spells, then their counter to their evolution. So just even if you're not like specifically practicing or duels formatting best of 3s, just being on the game is definitely really important.
So after a couple exchanges back and forth, giving the lead to Ian 23-75 on the right-hand side, we've got a nice opening. And as you look at this Ram Rider versus this Mortar Bait kind of deck, thoughts on the matchup?
Looking at this matchup, I think overall, I think that my initial thought was to give it to Adriel because Executioner is going to be one of the last cards here. Does a pretty good job, but I feel like the Spirit Empress from Ian actually does a great job of kind of controlling the Executioner. Once again, just a mini peck in the sky. Gonna be able to do a great job of trying to clean up the Exe here. He does have a Lightning, and a Snowball, so maybe the Executioner can lock on, but still, even with that play, Executioner is getting taken down to below half HP.
Exe does do its work to slow things down. Ram Rider going to connect. Exe gets picked up by the Spirit Empress. And Ian did say that he's not a big fan of the Spirit Empress just because it's so hard to kill on the opposite side of the board.
Yeah.
So we see him using that to the opposing effect.
Yeah, it's such a strong card. I mean, we've talked about the versatility of the card a lot. The fact that you can play it. It's almost like 2 cards in your deck at the same time. Like, if you're in a tough spot and you need a ground tank, you can get that down. Wait, I gotta take a second to stop my train of thought here because this Ram Rider is connecting for a lot of damage here. And the push isn't over. Spirit Empress does drop down, kind of like we're talking about, but the problem is that she doesn't have much HP. Another Ram Rider on the board. Why we're trying to push back, and Adriel just continues to press the issue here.
An absolute, and you see the good game from Ian as Adriel now puts that down to under 500 HP. What a sequence from Adriel, and it was just pressure, pressure, pressure. Ian on a desert island, and Adriel just continuing to deny him water.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing about this matchup is the fact that Adriel does have double small spell along with the Executioner. Yeah, Spirit Empress is decent for trying to clean stuff up, but even the dual lane pressure here is only going to be able to do so much with the Snowball dropping down.
Ram Rider behind the boss. Ram Rider will go ahead and not connect. Lightning to clear, though, and that will finish things off. Adriel winning game number 1 of this matchup and continuing to be in fine form.
Yeah.
Big collection of Royal Giant today. I'm going to go through some of our matches today and see if, I don't know if we've had one without Royal Giant, and maybe very few that even haven't featured Royal Giant at least one time on both sides. So let's see. Igor and Clown and Mugi both played it in their matchup. Igor and Viper had a Royal Giant mirror matchup today. Lucas played it against Pedro. Pedro did not play Royal Giant in that matchup. That's the first time playing back through these that I see one where they didn't both play it at some point. So in most of our matchups, Adriel Arden, it looks like, didn't actually play Royal Giant at all. But it's been pretty ubiquitous, as you probably would not be surprised.
Interesting. Yeah, and then in this match, looks like we have I don't know, this is wild. We have a minor queen mirror matchup. kind of coming out of nowhere. Haven't seen much of the Queen today. The difference in the matchup here is probably going to be the fact that Ian has a slightly quicker cycle. No Berserker, but instead with Ice Spirit Skeletons. I don't know if that's actually a positive thing, though, because you can see already how Adriel is able to use that Berserker to really control the Miner in this matchup. It's all about the chip here.
And how much quicker really is that, the one elixir versus 2 elixir? So quicker, yes. But also the big difference here is going to be the Evos, right? So we have the Evo Ice Spirit for Adriel, not the Evo Ice Spirit for Ian.
True.
Do you have an assumption on what he's putting in the Evo slot there?
Yeah, my guess is probably going to be an Evo Cannon. Whatever his building is, potentially Evo Tesla. More likely an Evo Cannon when paired with the Queen here, though.
And Rocket Cycle begins directly on to the Valk.
Ian will take the opportunity to drop a Queen here in the back, activate his 3-card cycle, and he's going to send a rocket of his own to get some damage. Maybe we'll see a Miner too to try and tank for this Queen and try and get some damage back as Adriel continues to be up. And looks like it is going to be the Tesla Evo for Ian.
So you're talking about the Rocket or the Cannon Evo with the Archer Queen, but does that change whether you're playing more of a miner focused cycle deck or the rocket focused cycle deck?
Good question. Good question. I think it might change it a little bit. The only reason I would have said Cannon instead of Tesla is mainly just because it's cheaper. Like, you do talk about how, like, 1 elixir, how much difference can it make? And you're right, especially for the cycle cards. But when you add up, like, the amount of elixir you're spending on buildings over time throughout the match, a lot of the time you do want something a little bit cheaper here. And you can kind of start to see how, as he spends so much elixir on these Teslas, he's not having as much for defending against the Miner. And Adriel's just up so much damage here. I don't know how, but he just seems to be applying so much better pressure while Adriel continues to catch these Miners every time with the Berserker.
And a really great Ice Spirit in the back there as well, timed perfectly to contend with the Rocket. We are pretty even right now, though, and able to cycle Queens, both players, into their non-playing side, or into their own offensive side, if you will. Rocket cycle both directions, log to pull the Miner back a little bit. Miner going to work on the right-hand side, down to 455. Ian running out of time.
Yeah, running out of time and running out of HP. Miner, or Rocket comes down for Ian, but it's already just Rocket range for Adriel, right?
GG, well played. Adriel just absolutely crushing it today.
Yeah.
One of the top performances that I think we've seen out of Adriel. Just really clean the whole way through.
Anytime he, I mean, I've seen multiple tweets saying he crafted this deck, he crafted that deck. It seems.
Es Adriel, soy de la República Dominicana. Mi mayor logro ha sido top 6 en las finales del mundo del año 2023. Mi mensaje motivacional es: trabaja por lo que quieras, esfuérzate en ello, que al final del día todo esfuerzo trae su recompensa. Y nos vemos este sábado apoyándome. Daré lo mejor de mí y allá nos vemos. Hola, me llamo Adriel.
Years with CRL, but him talking about his first ever first ever tournament being CCGS 2017 always cracks me up that he still just puts that on his resume. I love that he does that.
You talk about Adriel doing that?
He did, yeah.
It's my favorite thing. Yeah, I was gonna say the only person that's played Clash Royale longer than than Sam is Adriel, who's been playing since 2012, actually. One of my favorite things. So here we go. Sam may be going right back to the deck that we were just talking about. Starts off with the Barrel and the Dark Goblin and the Wall Breakers. Has all the pieces so far, but knowing Sam and knowing that everyone was watching and talking about him yesterday could have changed things up. Adriel on the other side of it, maybe looking like Graveyard.
Yeah, and never, I mean, always a fan of using Graveyard against players like Zopsam. You want to be able to control the arena because they're going to try a lot of these giant skeleton decks or the goblin giant decks that will struggle to get on through a solid defense. So I really love this deck choice from him. And then on the flip side, I love the deck choice from Zopsam. Not using giant skeleton, not using these heavy decks, instead going in with the Berserker, Quick Cycle, Skeleton Barrel, Wall Breakers. I think both players have, you know, approached this game beautifully.
Yeah, and honestly, that's something that I was going to say about the decks yesterday. Obviously, a little bit more exciting to talk about Sam's decks just because they're a little weirder, a little bit different than what you expect. But Adriel, honestly, with his deck picking yesterday, I thought was absolutely phenomenal, especially in that set against Arden Toas. I think Arden, you know, for as much as I talk about Arden needing to mature a little bit as a player, I still believe that. But I also believe that Arden probably got a little tilted by the way he started his day against Adriel quick 2-0, and Adriel just having such good decks in that matchup, and spears, they're going to distract that Dark Goblin just long enough, maybe actually not long enough, has to have the barrel come out as well. And there's the Mother Witch that we talked about. So Sam, just like us, all a fan of this deck, and just not quite as many spots for that Mother Witch to be used, but I think now maybe recognizing, probably running into Graveyard. I don't know, I almost would have, if it is Graveyard, I would have loved to see Adriel maybe just go super aggressive opposite lane with a naked Graveyard, because it is against Cannoneer, and Mother Witch was out of cycle, but, you know, knowing me and my ability to call couldn't be called out.
Yeah. But right here, it does get very difficult to get offensive pressure, even with the Mother Witch out of hand, because he does have the Goblin King, the Dark Goblin.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty tough for Adriel to get past all this. We see the high Dark Goblin giving him what looks to be an opportunity, but instead, again, Mother Witch defending, but it's still getting a little bit of chip damage. This counter push is going to be pretty impressive, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think Adriel was thinking exactly what we were, which is like, I gotta try, right? I gotta find a moment where maybe my win condition can come through, and I think it might be one of those scenarios where, oh man, it's so tough because he just has no other way to get damage on tower other than poisoning, but I just don't know where that Graveyard is ever gonna work.
Yeah, and right here, a lot of chip damage, and I'm pretty sure a couple of the skeletons were able to get to the tower. Sam doing a great job. Yeah, the Dark Goblin getting shot after shot, does get retargeted right there, but brilliant pressure and still stays alive.
The Dark Goblin squeezes around the density of the Skeleton King, gets on top of tower, baits out a ton of elixir on the right-hand side. Then we see Sam go heavy on the left, and that's exactly how we got there, was the overspend on the left-hand side that allowed Sam to go crazy on the right-hand side with the Skeleton King, with the Dark Goblin, with the Berserker, with the ability. And the Dark Goblin just putting in tons of work here. Sam firmly in control. 70 seconds remain. Adriel needs a miracle.
Sam playing this beautifully, continuing to flip lanes and not allow Adriel to get any sort of big push. And we see it again, Berserker opposite lane at the bridge. Wallbreak is coming in not to get tower damage, but instead to try and take out the Goblin Hut. One of them doesn't reach, so not going to get there all the way, but the Dark Goblin putting up everything. It feels like his Dark Goblins are like barbarians with the health.
I mean, really would have been nice to have a log instead of a bar barrel. Here you understand why the bar barrel, because of the Graveyard, but that bar barrel just not able to get on top of the goblins the way that a log would. So you're seeing him have to innovate and put different ways to get on top of that Dark Goblin, just not really working. And then the other part of it is that Sam is doing such a good job of baiting out the barrel with the skeleton barrels. This is a huge push on the right. I'm going to stop talking for a second.
Yeah, the Berserker gets deleted from the map. The Sam not going to be able to defend.
Oh my gosh, the Furnace is piling up. 94 HP remaining, just needs a poison. 635 on that tower, and there's the poison, and Sam cannot believe it. Well played by Adriel, doing what he does best, which is just staying locked in.
Oh my goodness, you are absolutely... when I saw... Just, you know, it's fun seeing CR pros play at the best of their abilities. It really is.
100% as we hop into game number 2 here. Now Sam, a guy that's always been really firmly in control of his emotions. We're going to see if he can bounce back after that devastating loss, and we'll see if Adriel just went straight up copy deck, which is something that, honestly, for years we have loved to see. We have loved to see the straight up copy deck because there's something crazy about the mental game there. But already looking just a little bit different as we see the double spirits come out.
Yeah, going ultra quick cycles. Sam on the other side going to be running one of his patented Goblin Giant, Goblin Curse, Goblin Demolisher, Destroyer, just as many goblins as he can fit, plus a Furnace, and right there, Rage coming down, going to be able to defend the Skeleton Barrel pretty easily, but those wall breakers should make it to the tower, and they do.
Yeah, I'm really curious here if maybe Sam just playing a little bit predictable. Game 1, he goes right back to that deck that he ran that was very successful. I mean, it basically feels like he kind of just swapped what he ran yesterday from Game 1 to Game 2.
Yeah, until I see him lose the set, I'll definitely never say anything as a he should have done this, just because of all the respect that I have for him. But it's certainly something to look at, especially going against a player like Adriel.
Double connection again on that left-hand side, and Sam right now just trying to stop the bleeding. Only person yesterday, I believe, to use the Chef Tower, and here we are once again. And you know, one of the things about the Chef Tower is in single elixir, you really want to put the pedal to the metal. You want to punish them, because also this deck gets stronger in double, and you know, the weakness of the tower feels maybe a little bit less of a variable in double as well. So just because you're able to get more units on the board, and decent breakthrough here. That Dark Goblin going to turn into 1 Goblin. I just ignore it. Yeah, I ignore it. I go right back on offense. Sam only has 3 elixirs, so we can go dual lane here.
Should be able to clean up the skeleton barrel pretty nicely with the help of the bar barrel, and that's exactly what happens. So tower all the way down to 900, 500 for Zobsam. I mean, he has the opportunities to make it through. Can he get the Goblin Giant to push past? And instead, he's going to elect to go the Demolisher all the way in the back. And I really like this. He's saying that he will be able to make it, and we're going to see right now if that's going to be the case.
Late Mighty Miner ability here. Does not get it off in time to clear the minions, but might not need it. Dark Goblin putting in great work there, as you see another good connection on the right-hand side. 725-37 to 887 as we see this sellout push on the right, and that should do it. Wow, Gob Giant not going to be enough defensively, and that is actually probably the biggest celebration we've seen from Adriel. Usually it's a little bit of eyebrows, sometimes a bit of a smirk, but a big smile there, as Adriel knows he's going to stay alive in the upper bracket. Tell you exactly my thought process. I want to know how deep Viper can go in a best of 5. Does he still stay strong in games 3, 4, and 5? I don't know. I know Adriel can do that. While we're just kind of hanging out here, just to kind of give people a quick look at it. Here we go. Event leaderboard points. And all right, Adriel. He's in 3rd place because Mohamed Light and Ian have already qualified. Viper, on the other hand of it, is in 16th place because this is the first month that he's made it to a monthly final. But he's got 70 points from it so far, obviously because he's still alive, which means that, you know, being able to climb up in points, he could get all the way up to the top 10 if he were able to win this month, or at least get 2nd place. He would be in that top 12, excuse me, with 2nd place. So here we go. Game number 1 of this best of 5. As you guys can see, 5 crowns on that right-hand side. That is not a mistake. That is just for us to get excited about. Adriel going to go with Miner Control, it looks like, here in game number 1. Mighty Miner plus minions. Probably wall breakers in there as well, but maybe he just goes, yeah, it should still be wall breakers in there, I would think.
Good timing with the log coming in from Adriel. Gonna clean that up really, really easily, really smoothly. Viper on the other side, gonna be running Snowball plus Arrow, so definitely have to take a look at both of the spells being used. Is that something that could be a detriment as the set goes along? All of these are gonna be analyzed very closely as we head into this best of 5.
Wall breakers coming out there on the left-hand side. Snowball to meet, and yeah, interesting synergy here in this deck from Viper. I kind of like it. It's like you got the Gobstein with maybe the Furnace behind, and then you get the Drill to come in, Evo Snowball, all of those things coming together. I can see it. I can see the vision. Very curious if it actually fares well running into this Evo Tesla, and then that Poison can put in a lot of work.
Yeah, Adriel just cycles so quickly and has so many troops on the board that either give him positive interactions or positive elixir trades. It's just going to be tough for Viper to get an offensive push because the Goblin Stein with the Doctor is always going to get poisoned out. The Furnace never really that big of a problem. But we'll have to see. I think it's definitely going to wait for triple elixir, but
yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know exactly how he wants to get past this.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was saying, is like this deck has a lot of pieces that feel like they work together and make sense. The only problem is that every deck works together and makes sense until you run into the 8 cards that your opponent is running. And right now, the 8 cards that Adriel is running, he's already, like, that whole time you were talking about him making Viper spend more and making his plays and all that, and all that, and just like kind of controlling the elixir conversation. He was doing all that in that moment. He was going minor wall breakers, and then he played minions, and he baited out the Evo Furnace. So that's just something that we're going to probably see a lot of. Right now, game very, very close, 26-81 to 26-26. That minor comes in and actually gives Adriel the lead. Along with those wall breakers connecting, gives him a substantial lead. Right-hand side, not a lot of elixir in the tank. There goes the bomb from the Mighty Miner, and another set of minions at the bridge. The aggression from Adriel right now is relentless.
Yeah, Viper forcing out the arrows once again. The wall breakers just getting value every single time. The Evo wall breakers getting value plus chip damage at the very end. The wall breakers forcing out this, forcing out that. I mean, it's just incredible the amount of pressure we've seen so far. And these minions, I talked about it earlier on, that I was excited to see how the minions would fare in today's Championship Sunday, but also the monthly final in general. And I mean, they seem to be doing well.
Yeah, really, really well. We saw Adriel run yesterday that Mortar double minions deck. That was pretty cool. We've seen that pop up on ladder just a little bit over the last couple weeks. And obviously not bringing it out here today, but minions doing very, very well. Yeah, such an interesting buff. Like, do they need a speed buff or do they need an attack range buff? As of right now, the attack range buff seems to be incredibly strong.
Yeah, and so right now, 36 seconds left. Adriel, no chance, yes, the Mighty Miner is on the board, so he's going to have a 3-card cycle.
That minion's going to connect. Oh, no. Guards, or excuse me, the spears pull it over just in time, and then the arrows come down. That's one interaction that's changed, just like kind of how buildings don't pull the exact same ways they used to. Those minions with their increased range, getting that third one can be a little difficult when you're playing units in the middle of Distract.
Tesla able to take it out in time. A damage advantage right now, so he can win this just by playing some solid defense. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see. Viper, you know, I liked Viper's triple elixir play. I thought he did a great job of trying to get pressure on top of the tower. But Adriel, I mean, as soon as he recognized that it was going to be insurmountable, just turtled up, defended well, and just a brilliant game one for him.
Yeah, and it's
Here with you. Let's get this popping.
all right. You heard it here first. On broadcast, 7x Elixir, final 30 seconds, maybe coming in 2039. Here we go. Viper, bottom of your screen. Adriel at the top. Adriel, yet to lose a game this weekend. Can he keep the train rolling? We'll find out. And if I'm Pedro, I need Adriel to lose a game before he runs into me, if that's the case, and that's the way that this set's going to go. Viper obviously still has 4 games to turn things around. Not going to count him out yet. Just saying that about Adriel because that is an impressive feat after as many sets as he has played.
Adriel going to be running Hog, Bar Barrel, Ice Spirit. Viper, on the other hand, going to be running Minor Wall Breakers. Probably the exact same deck that we just saw from Pedro in game number 1. Adriel probably going to be running the Lightning variant. Still a couple cards to go, so we will wait patiently and see what Adriel wants to follow up.
Let's steal the show.
And the Boss Bandit. I like the Boss Bandit. How do you feel about Boss Bandit right now in the meta? Is it, and in terms of balances? Well balanced, well in the meta, needs a little bit of a balance. What are your thoughts?
You know, I think it's probably good. I would have no problem with somebody, you know, walking up to me on the street and disagreeing with my opinion if I see them later today. But at the same time,
that'll happen.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it's probably not gonna happen. But I think it's pretty good for and relatively well balanced.
If you're in the San Francisco area later today and you see AC walking around, please make his day and talk to him about the Boss Bandit. Here we go. Moving into double elixir. 1 minute remaining in regulation. Miner getting on top of the tower. Very, very close game here. And yeah, as of right now, Just some earthquakes getting some damage for Adriel, and I'm trying to figure out how he wants to break through.
Yeah, the earthquake instead of lightning, it changes the matchup quite a bit. We're gonna
Better or worse in this case? Long, and want to give a shout out to his coach, right? We were talking about coaching earlier, and Jebez is working with Adriel right now, and I think Jebez is also working with Viper, and so this becomes one of those really interesting conversations, which we've had many times in the past, and I want to make sure I'm not just talking over any good action here. It seems like this defense is going to be pretty clean, but a lot of times in the past, AC, and you can chime in on this because obviously you were a pro, but usually when one coach is coaching two players, they just step away for that said set. And I'm curious if that's what Jebus is doing here.
Yeah, I think I saw a little bit of a discussion saying that one of these two players, I can't remember which one between these two, has like a secondary coach. So,
Yeah.
you know, it'll be really interesting. But yes, oftentimes when two players shared a coach, it would just be left up to the players. But then it would always get weird because, like, you know, players actively go for coaches because they don't want to have to be in those kind of situations. So it, I don't know. It's always been kind of a funky thing to have two players with the same coach get matched up.
And I think it's Jay Daniel, if I'm reading that correctly, might be the other person working with Adriel. So as of right now, Viper, though, in the lead with this minor poison control deck. He's going chip damage here and there and poison value here and there. 1744, Hog in the back here. Angel trying to see if he can make something happen with that 3-card cycle. Evo Firecracker, 2 Hogs coming down. Problem is you got 2 Hogs against nothing. You know, you got no support. You just got 2 Hogs going directly into a big push of Mighty Miner, Minions, Tesla, and we're all evened up after game number 2.
Yeah, beautiful gameplay from Viper to take game number 2 overall. And I think I was misspoken. You know, I think the Lightning at least gives you an opportunity. I think Viper, too strong a player. It felt like the defenses were just a little bit too easy. As soon as question, you know, that's why so many people are calling for nerfs to the minions, even though this is the first time in 18 years that we've seen them be a priority for some of these players. But yeah, the minions are just tough to stop.
Yeah, that's like, you can't really just cycle your boss man in the opposite lane. And yeah, really, really tough situation there. Would love to hear a pro or a coach really break that down. But here we go. Game number 3. Viper already looking like you could be going some form of mortar. Adriel technically could too. There's been versions of mortar with Spirit Empress and Ice Wiz, but for some reason probably not.
Yeah, it's definitely up in the air, but now that the arrows and the Goblin Gang have both been shown, it's definitely looking more and more likely. The Spirit Goblins, can they take out the Dark Goblin entirely? Not going to be the case. The Viper, 3 Spirit Goblins and a Dark Goblin. How does Adriel want to defend? And he's going to choose the Berserker, so I believe it's going to be mortar on mortar.
Yeah, I think so. It makes sense too with the 2 Cannoneer towers, as Cannoneers coupled with mortar 90+% of the time. And nice placement there on that Skelly King, not allowing any death damage or skeleton damage. That's a little bit harder than he made it look, honestly.
Yeah, that's not what happens when I do.
Yeah, me neither.
So one of the interactions that like kind of blows my mind nowadays is that the Barbell gets chip shots, chip damage on top of the tower. even against the Cannoneer. And right there, a lot of chip damage coming in from the mortar. Just nothing in cycle for Viper, I guess.
Yeah, Viper just holding, waiting for the mortar to connect, then goes Dark Goblin, baits out the arrows, then goes Goblin Gang, and just not an ideal way to kind of start this somewhat mirror matchup. And yeah, those new interactions with the Cannoneer are weird. The one that gets me the most for some reason is the Barbarian is definitely number 2, but the Bomber. I don't know why the Bomber always gets me. I'm always like, you should not live through this, and it always
Oh.
does.
I didn't even know that a 2-shot bomber.
Maybe I'm just lying.
Oh,
That seems good for my job. Yeah, it's definitely one of those interactions that I actually don't think it's a bad interaction. I actually think the changes they made are good. I think it's good that wall breakers actually have an effect now, and I think it's good that you can't just ignore all these 2 elixir cards. So shout out to the balance team once again as we see a mortar come out here for Viper trying to even things up. Spirit Empress meets Spirit Empress. Dark Goblin meets Berserker. And this gang should be more than enough to... Actually, you know what? Excuse me. Really nice barrel plus Dark Goblin, but Spirit Empress puts in that damage with that range.
right there, the Evo barrel protected. Is it going to get the double shot, double connection? Not. Did he defend properly with the Skeleton King again?
I think so. I mean, it looks like it took 100 damage, I think, so maybe one of the barrels popped.
Yeah, right there. I mean, Viper doing everything that he can. I just watched the replay. He didn't take a single lick of damage right
Wow.
there. Yeah, just brilliant stuff with the Skeleton King and
How is he
Adriel.
gonna
Like,
hit damage, though? That is what I'm so curious about here with Vipers. How is he going to break through 2134 to 1817? It's been a while since Vipers gotten some damage in as he sets up this Evil Mortar on the right-hand side. Berserker up high. Hiding opposite. Feels like a good moment here. Evil Mortar could get a connection. There's the game coming down.
yeah, we definitely can't protect the mortar any more so because he knows his opponent wants the arrows on top. He does.
Yep, there it is.
Can he catch the barb? He does. So clean defense right there. And Adriel, I mean, both of these players just playing out of their minds. This is top
really.
company.
Yeah, Adriel's just been in the lead for a bit, but honestly, not by much. And there we go. Good pull there on the Evo barrel. Going to get a good setup here for the next 30 seconds or so. It feels like not going to be able to get back on offense with the mortar is Viper. So he tries it. He's going to try to force it here in the middle, but just nothing he's going to be able to do it there. Spirit Empress on the board. Evo mortar doesn't lock, but will get a shot.
Yeah, look at the right lane though. The Skeletons getting on top of the tower, getting it all the way down to sub 1000 HP. Arrows coming down on offense. Plus the Empress. The left lane still needs to be defended. The right lane going down entirely. Adriel taking the 2-1 set lead. And I mean, it was just pretty much perfection from both of these players. I think Adriel's deck just fared so well. The arrows plus the Ice Whiz just changed a relative mirror match into...
It does so much damage on the tower, and yeah, the fact that you're not going to really want to spell it off the board by itself. So all those things coming together for the Berserker, making it just such a fascinating card. I love how much we've seen it this weekend, and here we go. Game number 4. Adriel up 2-1, could win it right here, and then secure himself a spot in the top 2, at least a silver ticket. Viper trying to change that tune right now. 1 game in the bank, and only 1 life to live here as Adriel starts with his Evo Furnace in the back. And Mother Witch. Haven't seen Mother Witch a lot other than from OP Sam's deck. And we're going Golden Knight, Mother Witch here on the left-hand side. We've seen versions of Piggies with this in the past. There's that light. And there we go. It's going to be Mother Witch. E-Giant. E-Giant medium matchup, or medium fair yesterday. I think it won 1, lost 1. But, running into a Big Mama P.E.K.K.A AC, that is not ideal if you're running E-Giant.
Yeah, never a great situation. Cannon plus Bomber is going to defend pretty well, and I really thought he was kind of a 1/10 of a second away from activating the Golden Knight right here. 4 elixir left. The NATO putting in a little bit of work. He needs a little bit of help. I mean, the Zappies The Zappy slow everything down, and he does get the defense off technically, but Adriel, I mean, has to be feeling so good right now.
I love that sequence of offense. He's got a Golden Knight in front of a P.E.K.K.A, all of which have very low HP. Or excuse me, the Golden Knight has low HP. Then he goes Battle Ram in front. So we got the Battle Ram taking for the Golden Knight. Then we have the Golden Knight taking for the Barbs. All of these things are tanking for the P.E.K.K.A, which then tanks at the very, very end for those Zappies, and a brutal start here for Viper in his, not elimination game, but his removal from the upper bracket.
Yeah, and I mean, Adriel already has the Evo Battle Ram. One of the big discussion points for the Evo Battle Ram is that it's hard to get it down enough.
Yeah.
And to already have it as Double Elixir is just starting, that's just one more thing that Viper has to be worried about.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you make about the Evo Battle Ram. It does seem like it is hard to get it in cycle, but man, it can be one of the most difficult Evos to manage in the game. I mean, honestly, the Evo Furnace is one of them as well. And look at that lightning. My goodness. You can see Adriel. I mean, barely you can see Adriel because we're only seeing the top of his eyes and his forehead mainly, but you can tell very unhappy about giving away that value. He's had a pretty dominant Elixir lead and damage lead this entire game, and that just changed everything. We're going to see if he can turn it into a big push here.
Yeah, and right there, Golden Knight's dash.
Yep.
Oh, beautiful right there. I thought that was kind of a interesting situation. I thought he had already used the Golden Knight dash, so just
I thought he was
just
just
on my opinion.
I thought he was going to get on tower. I thought that Golden Knight should have connected the tower, especially with the NATO help, but just not in range for Viper. And now that Furnace gets a splash on tower, and man, 946 remains. No big spells, so Viper has to remember that there is always a way out, but not looking good as of right now. 2370, the weakest tower for Adriel. 946, the weakest tower for Viper.
Yeah, forces out NATO, still almost gets to the tower, forces out the cannon as well. And see, this is where the Furnace becomes so impossible to defeat.
Did it. He needed to go just this half second earlier. He would have gotten the Mother Witch, the cannon, the bomber, and the tower.
Yeah, right there. I mean, the Ghost is able to take out everything. It's just now that we're into triple Elixir, and when we were deep into double Elixir, you can just put the Furnace in the back and then bridge spam as well. And you're basically going to have bridge spam plus a Fire Spirit every 2 or 3 seconds. And that's just always so hard to stop.
Still alive is Viper as that tower ticks down. 334, 1978 as a Piggy sneaks on through. And another NATO trying to get the bomber lineup. Bomber lineup does happen. Gets a couple shots in. A little closer here, separated by 1100 HP.
Yeah, with 23 seconds left, though, still definitely in full control. P.E.K.K.A coming down at the bridge from Adriel. Maybe you'd have the opportunity to go opposite lane. It doesn't matter. The Golden Knight plus the P.E.K.K.A, too strong on defense. Adriel's got this.
Yeah, wow. What a, just, again, you talk about matchup and stuff for Adriel and his deck picking over the days. I mean, comes out with the non-evolved P.E.K.K.A right into a V-Giant. He's got the Golden Knight to get on top of the Mother Witch. Usually with that dash, you can couple it with the other small spells to take care of her. The great play in the very beginning, using the Battle Ram to tank for the Golden Knight, using that to tank for the P.E.K.K.A. Great stuff from Adriel, who has taken